Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Grow Your Path to Wellness. If this is your first time listening, my colleague and Amanda and I, we host a new wellness guest and we release new episodes every Sunday. So be sure to like, subscribe, follow, leave us feedback, so that way you also don't miss out on any new episodes. Amanda is continuing to take time to care for herself and a new little one. So it is me doing our interviewing with all of our guests. So until she comes back. We had a cancellation in our schedule last week, so expect the men's mental health series to return soon. I believe it's coming back on the 31st, but our other co-host for that is Amanda's husband, so he's also caring for little ones. So stay tuned. I believe we'll be back on track in a week or two. I'm back with our guest this week. She joined us in the past and is back with us again, Mary Bicknell. So we're going to be talking today all about systems for making money in your business. So welcome back, Mary. Thank you for joining us again.
Hi, I'm so glad to be back. This is one of my favorite topics. Even though people don't really like thinking about systems, it's the backbone of your business.
Absolutely. So if you don't mind, give us a quick reintroduction for those who maybe didn't catch your first episode with us, and then how is today's topic tied into just overall financial wellness?
Yeah. So I'm Mary Bicknell. I'm a clinical social worker and I'm also a business consultant and work with women-owned businesses to help them expand multiple revenue streams. So whether it's somebody in solo practice that goes on to create a coaching business or a program, or sometimes, I just work with clients to just get into the headspace, how they're thinking, how they're showing up. Because here's the truth. They may have already bought all the how-tos and they're just sitting on their computer, and it's not that all the programs haven't worked. It's something that's holding them back. And we know this, right, as clinicians too, that sometimes we're just dragging around that bag of, the past. So as a consultant, and as a coach, a success coach, it's really about what do we want to do. So today, we're going to talk about the systems in your business, how to make money. The last time I was here, so thanks for having me back, is really talking about how money is actual self-care. Making money is self-care. And there's an epidemic of women, I believe so strongly, that we pour into others, and then somehow there's an attachment of guilt when we want to make a lot of money for our families. Hello. Our priority is ourselves, even though that's not what we're indoctrinated our entire life as women. And men too, on many levels, right? Men are like, go be the man and make the money, right? So, excuse me, I have a little this time of year. Hello, it's fall here in Oregon, and so my allergies are acting up a little, but that's okay. I'm drinking my pumpkin spice latte this morning while we're here.
Everybody judges me whenever I say out loud that I don't like pumpkin spice. So
I love
that
that you claim it, right? Like,
I'm like,
be the real you, right? Like, claim it,
it
own
is
it.
definitely, we're getting hard of fall here in Ohio as well. So
Yeah.
I get that 100%. I feel like for women too, yeah, the guilt, and then as an extra layer, this is very specific and not
Yeah.
going to apply to like general audience, but also somebody in for women in like caretaking or human services or things
Yeah.
like that. I think there's an extra layer of guilt for us to, who are you to think that you should profit off of, your job versus other areas of work and what their, salaries look like. Everything from teachers, social workers, all kinds of areas there that I could squirrel way off
Oh, I
into.
could scroll away on this. This is one of my flags, right? You plant a flag. And, I want every single one of us and every single one who's listening to make all the money in the world. Like as much money as you make so much money. Because here's the thing, when people say things like, and then we'll get back on it, but this is really to the point about systems, because I'm going to share the systems in business. And so this topic is actually going to be one of those. So I'll just kind of weave it in. But here's the deal. It's like, if we're not focused, so here's the thing, right? There's so many of us like, I just want to help people. I want to help people too. Okay. So it's like, when did making a lot of money turn into that is somehow I'm screwing people? So
Yeah.
I'm committed. I am a social worker. I am committed to helping people. And I've done all the things in social work. I've worked in ERs. I've worked in every kind of psych hospital. I've done home health. I've had a private practice. I've worked at level 5 schools. I mean, I could go on and on. I've been hit, had poop thrown at me, had blood thrown at me. Like I have done it all in the world, right? I've worked in the inner city in Baltimore. Here's the thing. I like people and I like money and I like my family.
Mhm.
And so here's the bottom line. My message is this is not don't like people or screw people, take
Right.
their money. First of all, that's your money mindset. That's a huge problem. But I want my family to feel comfortable. I want my family to eat well. I want my family to like have warm clothes, right? I want my family to go on vacations to Hawaii and fly first class if I want to. It's like there's no judgment around money. I think that when people tie in I like to help people, therefore I don't money's not a motivator, then don't have a business.
Mhm.
Like when people you're I'm a business consultant. I am an advocate for women making a lot of money. I am an advocate for women being financially sovereign,
Mhm.
not dependent on another person, period. Like we could go,
Oh, and I feel you. Like I was so
oh,
excited for today. I was like, all the things that come into my head that I can get pretty like worked up about.
yeah.
So,
Like
okay.
literally every single time I do a Facebook Live, I want to say 80% of the time, people are, I'm not motivated by money. I get that. Be motivated to build a church. Be motivated to send your kid to the best summer camp. I'm motivated by what money buys me and the opportunities. And frankly, I grew up where, I wasn't supposed to have the success I have. So I own 2 homes. I have all the things. I'm not a big conspicuous consumption person, but I mean, I can buy organic food like that. You know what I mean? I have lots of glasses sitting around because I grew up wearing one pair of glasses from 3rd grade to 9th grade. So, I got that. But here's the thing. It's like be motivated by what money can buy you. And I think here it is, it's a big cop out when women are like, I'm not motivated by money. Then you have a problem with money. You have a innate problem. You have assigned negativity around money. Either you don't know how to make money, you default into the ridiculous mode of like, I don't know how to manage my money. You better manage your money or someone
Mhm.
else is going to. Whether that's your husband, your lover, your boss, your client that you don't have any boundaries around and they default on their
Yeah.
pay like oh my god. Oh, this is so about systems also. This boundaries are systems, right?
Oh, yeah.
So in the world of mental health and all of this, and of course and self-care, we talk a lot about boundaries. Well, make some systems are boundaries, which would
Mhm.
include a client who defaults. So okay. I don't,
No,
it's early morning and I'm one of these
you're like,
people. I
let's
wake up like
go.
this.
I when you said that, and as we go, I know that I'm going to relate because I've just now been in private practice for 1 year, and that getting coming from a community mental health
Yes.
background into a self-pay private practice model, I had to do a lot of work. And growing up with my own those attachments to money, like
Yeah.
there's a lot there to, like when we were saying at the beginning, it's a lot more than just like, okay, I have the bag of tools to do the thing.
Right.
But it's like, do I have this perspective that I need for the system to be effective for me?
Exactly. 100%. And, here's the good news. Like this is something that, those of us who are in the any kind of self-helpy personal development, like we want to evolve, right? And I believe one of the greatest things that we can do is evolve our identity. And it's not always easy to transition from, just as you were saying, right? From going from working somewhere, being an employee, to now being a CEO. Right there, that's a massive jump. Let's be in reality. And
Yeah.
so it's really rewriting your identity as a CEO in your own business. And, whether it's whatever income you make up to, I have clients that are making $15 million a year, and I still work with her on okay, girl, you're the CEO. Because
Yeah.
it's just inbred in us. It's just every freaking where we go as a message. So give yourself, right? Let's all give ourselves a break, because I still do this myself sometimes. I'm just like, ugh. And I have to, here's
I'm
transparency. Yesterday,
this.
I was listening to something and I realized, oh my God, I totally sabotaged myself. I thought I worked through all this stuff. And I realized recently I did something that kind of like pulled back an opportunity, because I was like, well, I don't know if I want to keep doing that. Da, 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 da. And it was really just old stories. Like, what if I did keep doing it and then it got really big and then I have to hire a bunch of people and I'm not very good at like hiring a huge, massive amount of people. I don't want it. And then I was like, whoa, I had no idea that like that old story was running in the background, because I'm pretty like every day I'm working on my identity of a financially independent woman who owns a massive company that does massive work. But that doesn't have to mean like tons of people. Okay. So that we both went on this rant. So okay, let's get back on topic.
I'm bad about that. And then we put both Amanda and I in here, and I'm like, oh, that's what it's like before we start recording. Everybody, I ask everybody for talking points, so that way we can keep going to our
Yep.
end game here. But let's get into what is a system and why are they so critical for a business?
Yeah. So I think, starting off, I want everybody to recognize we all already have systems. We all already are living with systems. We might not call it that. You could also call it habits, routines,
Mhm.
structures, but we don't say, I have a system in the morning to get up and go to the bathroom and wash my face and brush my teeth and get my coffee. We don't look at it like that, right? But we've created a routine. So when we think about systems within our business, we want to think about this as structures that support the growth of the business and our clients. So when I think about systems, that's the and here's the thing. What is a process? What's a repeatable process so that you don't have to think about it? So all your systems should be written down somewhere, whether it's electronically, it's in some old fashioned white binder that you'd stick on a shelf somewhere, right? And have a SOP, a standard operating procedure. You do this already. You don't even think about when you bake a cake from scratch. There's a system in place to do that. You go turn the oven on, you preheat it to 350, you pull out whatever the joy of cooking or whatever Betty Crocker, da 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 da, and you have a structure, you have a formula. It's the same thing in your business. And once you understand those and once you can put those into place, then you don't have to think so hard. Then everything, every time, it's not like, what should I do? It's already a structure. So
Mhm.
then when you also have assistant come in or somebody who can help you, I'm sure that, taking time off to take care of a baby, there's a lot of systems in place. You can't
Yeah.
just like, I'm just like,
Right,
bye
right.
people. There are things and structures in place.
Yes, and I think, and again, I'm not the expert in this area, but I noticed whenever, and I'm still, getting mine together and
Yeah.
everything, but a lot of them you're already doing it.
Yes.
It's like it's formed naturally, based on
Yes.
things about yourself and what you're already doing. But I think putting it in black and white like that, or organizing it like that, like you said, whatever way, if that's electronically, hard copy, whatever, it's like working with your brain, not against it, essentially,
Oh,
to
that's good.
be
Exactly.
more efficient is what, like, that's how it kind of came across to my brain. Like,
It's definitely more efficient and effective. And so there's a lot of things. So like now, as a visionary business owner, right? I have a million ideas. And
mhm,
yet, here's the thing. I cannot actualize those. I can't make all those happen right now. So I have to systematically, one at a time, like become masterful at one thing and then move on. It's not like we can't serve different people or different populations or have different interests, etc. Like you want to do something one-on-one, you want to do group, you want to have a group practice, like you want to sell real estate on the side, you want to rent out at the office building. You can do a multitude of things, but if you don't have them systematized,
mhm.
that is stressful. That is winging it. And you're not going to, winging it does not equate to self care, people.
No, no.
No,
Makes
right?
me anxious just thinking about it, because I'm not the wing it kind of person anyways. I thrive on like structure and things, like
Yeah.
an organization, and so yeah, winging it, maybe your ideas at first, the trying to put things together to start can feel like winging it, but after that, And then I'm like, okay, I need,
Yes.
I need systems, I need procedure, I need, organization here.
Well, and also one of the systems that I like to teach is like a personal system, right? So I'll talk here, here's six systems. But first, here's a framework that I like everybody to think about is like, I call it the biz trifecta. You could also call it success trifecta. Because when I do, high level coaching and consulting, with this, we really think of it like your success trifecta. But in this case right here, either one, biz trifecta, it's really these 3 points: mindset, plan, and systems. And they all work together. So in other words, systems don't work well if there's not the plan first to get the system organized. And you probably are not going to be creating an effective plan if your head is not in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so it always starts with, right, what you even said, right, about transitioning into now being the CEO of your own company.
Yeah.
Like that's the first thing, the headspace. What are you thinking? What like or the conversation today, money, right? If we don't get our money, our mindset around money, our thoughts around money organized, understood, then we're going to have a hard time charging people, increasing our rates, all the things. And so it's first mindset, like how do you identify as the business owner, as the CEO, as the whatever, as the
Mm-hmm.
new mom, right? I mean, that right there is like a success formula. Success trifecta is like, I'm a mom. I'm not going to kill my kid. How am I not going to kill my kid? Here's
Right.
the plan. I'm not
Adaptive.
going to like leave him on the back of the, car.
Yeah.
Like I almost did that once with my daughter. We had a
Mhm.
Prius
I
and it
don't
has
have
that,
kids, but
what? What'd you
I said
say?
I don't have kids, so like I always am like, you're doing great. Like,
Right? It's scary. I mean, you have to have, it's the same thing. So that mindset, plan, and systems, that's like the biz trifecta.
so that's where you often start with your, your coaching and with your
Yes.
clients is those three components before you get in. And then you said we have 6 types of systems after.
Correct. Correct. So starting with that formula, so we're like where's somebody holding themselves back, and then what's the plan, right? And so you have to have a plan, and then you know what system to design. There's 6 systems I'll share with you, and I'll break those down. But first, you have to know what you want. Like, what's the plan? What do you want? Do you want to take off in the month of December so you can have the holidays? Do you want to take off in August? Do you want to have a baby and plan? Do you want to get a new puppy? I actually work 3 days a week and I take most of the end of the month off. Why do I do that? So this is a funny thing. People are like, well, I like to work all the time. And I'm like, well, that's great. The 3 day a week work week is just like a construct here that work
Yeah.
when you want to work. I like to have off Fridays with my husband. Thursdays is my chill time to do whatever. I
Mhm.
take a creative writing class and stuff like that. It's not that I hate my work, so I only want to work 3 days a week. It's like there's other things in life, people. But if I didn't have a plan for that,
Yes.
these days I do this, these days I see clients, these days I do recording my own podcast or YouTube video, whatever. If there's not a plan in place, what's that saying? Like if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And it's so true. So
Yeah.
once you have the plan, then it's easy to put that plan into the various systems. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Are
Yes. I
you a
love
planner?
I am so much. If Amanda was here, if when she's watching and editing this, she's gonna be like, yes. Yes, she is.
So when you plan, do you write things down or do
Oh
you do you like to write?
yes.
I'm a
I can't type it out on like a note or a document. Like I can't. I have to hard
I
hand it.
like writing it out too, you guys. I don't know what it is. I know, it's there's something what is this? Tactical.
Tactical.
Yes. And then, it's just I like all the different types of colored pens and all the things, right? And then I can give it to, like, I can turn it to my assistant and she puts it in a planning program, Asana. But if she made me do that, I would cry. Like that stuff, so you don't always, like, you can, once you get these systems, guys, you can turn it over when you get to the point of hiring, which by the way is one of the systems. So let me go through them. So, and then I'm going to give you one of my, another little formula to help you weed out. Cause I know that sometimes what happens is first, when you plan, you should just brain dump, like literally sit down and have one for your home and one for your business, and like legit put everything down. Stop carrying it around in your head. It's too much. It's okay. Plan it out. Okay. So the very first one, so there's 6 of them. The very first one is lead generation. So sometimes people call it prospecting or lead generation. So what is lead? I'm going to go through the 6 first. I'll come back. You can ask me. Lead generation lead nurture, lead selling, client deliverables like team and personal. So those are 6 systems. So
Okay.
does that make sense? So lead generation is the very first one.
Okay.
So really what that is, I know everybody's heard of that know, like, and trust factor, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so basically what that is for those people who do not know, it's like people don't know about you guys. I mean, right? It's like if people don't know that you're out there and you have something amazing to offer, whatever your thing is that you're offering, right? So, and it could be, the best bath crystals. It could be like you're an excellent therapist, like whatever the thing is. People have to get to know you and they
Mhm.
have to get to the point where they like you. Here's the truth. People buy from people they like.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so be your fun, normal self.
hmm I've seen like I ask like every new client that I take on, um, this feels like this is resonating with this, but I ask every client who has found me, reached out to me, wanted to set up a consultation. I ask them how they found me and what led them to choose to reach out to me.
Yeah.
And I like asking both of those pieces. And what I get more often, it's not about look, but the way it's always that I look likable, I look approachable. Like they haven't even talked to me yet in the way that I set up my headshots and the ways that I have meshed everything into my website and everything. They're like, you just look likable. And so when you said that, people buy from people they like. So like that is a big thing I hear. And then after I talk with them on the phone, then they're like, you're very likable. I felt comfortable on this phone call. And then off we go.
Right. It's a critical factor, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, right. We want to see, we have to remember that clients purchase from us because they want to be like us. They
Mhm.
resonate with something about us, or we've created a space for them where
Mhm.
they believe that they are safe and can have some kind of transformation. And for whatever the product, the thing, the offering, all of it, whatever that is. And that's what we're trying to create, right? So if people don't know about you, right, they
Mhm.
have to get to know you, like you, and then they trust you, and that's when they hand over their cash.
Yeah.
And traditionally clinicians, like, we don't know how to do that.
Right. Me typing up my bio for these websites, and whenever I started getting into TikTok, I've gained a small following there. And like the whole time I'm like, just gonna be myself. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna project what it is that I stand for and align with.
Yes.
And that was very helpful. I did also a lot of behind the scenes work with my own mindsets and that imposter syndrome, all the things.
All
But
of that.
yeah,
I
make
think the thing that, don't you love it? Isn't it the most gratifying? Like, don't you, like, I don't know about you, but when clients come to me and they've been following, or they're like, "Oh my God, it's like you're in my head," or whatever.
yeah.
I mean, no matter whether when I was in private practice, or even working in the hospital, or with dying clients, or now of course with consulting clients, I'm still humbled and honored that
Mhm.
people have chosen to work with me. I don't take that lightly. I don't take their time or their financial investment lightly. Here's the thing, when I started, and I know you're getting this too, right? When you start really being the real you and clients come
Yeah,
in, like, that is, oh, I could get choked up. Like, that's the greatest gift.
it
And
really
it's
is.
not like it's from an ego place, right? It's not like, well, they love me how I am. It's like finally we're being ourselves,
Mhm.
and our message resonates with people. And
Yeah.
that's a gift,
Mhm.
right? That's the thing.
Really.
Oh
Oh.
my God, I love that part. Okay, so
I'm
no,
like,
like,
I love it.
she's drinking her non-pumpkin spice latte while I have my big cup of pumpkin of that. Okay, so lead generation. So what does that look like? So when we think about lead generation, we need to have the faucet turned on in our businesses all the time.
Mhm.
And, historically people are like, well, I just get referrals, or I get this. Okay, that's great. Like, but let that be the icing on the cake. Be proactive with lead generation. And that's whether that's doing something like this, running your own webinars, whatever it is, speaking, like collaborating. There's so many ways to get in front of other audiences to really be able to have systems that way. And then you want to get to the point where a lot of this is automated. I'll talk about that at the end for sure. But automation, I mean, look, I don't want to work all the time. And there's software and tech out there, even though I like to write things down on paper too.
Right.
I really, really love all my software programs because they free my time up. Time and truth are my like core values. I want more time. And so I will invest to have time. Right. Okay. So lead generation, lead nurture. So now that looks like people are in your world. How do you take care of people? Right. Is this like, do you do podcasting? Do you do a newsletter? Like, what is it that you're giving to people? How are you saying, hey, listen to what I have to say. Here's some tips. Here's some how-tos, those kind of things. Then we're doing lead selling. So what does that mean? That means getting on a call with people. That means creating whatever sales page. That means having people buy your thing. And selling, it feels like people have such resistance to even the concept of selling. But here's the twist. If you got married, you sold somebody on getting married. If you have a kid and your kid picks up their room, you've sold them on that. If you have whatever client industry, you're selling the client on the action of transformation. It's where people get so hung up is the actual moment of them saying yes, right? That financial exchange. Again, you guys, that's the money piece.
Yeah.
That's your money mindset. If your money stuff is all hung up, or even the thought of like you're in business to sell your product or services,
Yeah.
people are like, no, I'm just in business to help people. I'm like, stop spinning it.
Right. It's like you need to address your own discomfort with this. Like
Yes.
you want to move forward past it. Cause like it's one then that goes back. I like all I can speak to is my own systems and things that resonate with me here. So everybody listening, that'll sound different. But I do the whole phone consultation thing, and then you get at the end and then we talk about, how are you feeling? Do you want to move forward? And then you get into fees and I offer sliding fee scale, so we'll talk about that. And I always say how important it is to be transparent with one another about it because of everybody's different perspectives, and you have to talk about it.
Yeah. So I agree. You have to talk about it. And you have to have that moment, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
here's the thing. You have to, one, believe that whatever you're offering people is of value.
Yes.
If you're not drinking your own Kool-Aid and you're not doing your own work, that's why imposter syndrome comes up sometimes, right? Because you're behind the scenes not doing the shit, right? It's like the toothless dentist, right? The fat cardiologist, chain
Yeah.
smoking, right?
Love
So if
that.
you're not doing it, you need to sit down with yourself and figure out like, or reach out to us, right? It's like, okay, how can this change? And the whole concept about selling, it's like I charge a lot of money. I don't have any problems anymore charging thousands and tens of thousands of dollars working with me. Why? Because of all of my one-on-one clients, every single solitary, like this is like, we don't throw out guarantees, but I can practically guarantee every single client that works with me one-on-one triples, 5X's, 10X's their income, period.
Mhm.
Because I have that one-on-one time with them. I'm working on their mindset and they don't know business. So I can help them easily structure their business. But selling is just the transfer, the exchange that happens when someone says, yes, I want to have what you're offering. Like, let it stop with all this mind BS. Like, it's really serving, it's really teaching. No, it's selling. Let's just be there. Okay, let's all take a moment. Okay, what's number four? Number four, of course, is client delivery, right? This is where you are really expanding the trust. So, what does client delivery looks like? Maybe it looks like and how much of this can be automated? We can go through that. But client delivery is what's the promise?
Mhm.
So, for example, let's say that you typically work with clients for 90 days. How are you taking care of them? Do they have a standing appointment? Do you have an in-between opportunity for them to reach out if they need to? Do you have support, whatever, materials, documents, YouTube videos? What can you do to support them? How are they paying you? Is that systematized so it's not an awkward situation,
Right.
right? All of those kind of things you have to think about ahead of time. So if it's sliding scale, how do you handle that? How do you handle contracts? All of this needs to be done on the front end. And that way, here's a couple reasons. One is because you've got it done.
Yeah.
It's you've taken care of it for yourself. So it's also for you. There's nothing more unsettling than to hire somebody and then they're like, "Oh, I don't well, I'll get back to you on what's next." Like, no,
No.
right? What do you think? I
Uh,
mean,
yes. Again, and I'm to the point, that I'm 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 full all the time, and I am pretty much always operating on a wait list. Like I always have a handful of people on a wait list, and then if and that's with me having it out there that I'm not accepting people, and people still reach out to get on my wait list. So long I say all of this to say I'm at the point where I think I need to bring on like somebody, like another clinician, and going through that process of interviewing and making sure that they align with me and my systems, and thinking about doing that makes me very anxious.
it is a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's actually system number 5 is team, right? So whether it is that you're bringing on clinicians, right, to support, whether it's an admin, whether it's a marketing person, a salesperson, right? And I also want people to think about team inside their personal world,
Yes. Hmm.
right? We sometimes we compartmentalize things too much, and I know as business owners it's good to shut the door and shut the computer, and yet we also have to think about, when I have somebody come in and my housekeeper comes in, that frees up mind space for me, that frees up time for me that I could choose to do nothing, or I could choose to like sell that time, if you will, to and have a client. If I have my housekeeper come for 5 hours every week, that 5 hours, I could sell a VIP day and have those 5 hours and make us substantially more money. But let's get back to you because I'm so excited for you to be able to bring on new clinicians.
Yes, I'm very excited, and I know it's something that I need to do. I didn't think that was my own limiting beliefs, like the fact that I got to that point uh that as quickly, and it's been like that since before I was practicing for a full year. So it was like all of my own stuff where I'm like, I've only been doing this for like, and I'm like, Kelsi, like, what you're doing. It's not about the amount of time you've been in private practice. Like
Right.
what you're doing in what you're offering and what you're providing is valuable, and people want that. It's not necessarily about the fact of how long I've been doing it, or and coming and seeing that, and then okay, now I can have like a more of a team and be able to serve people. But then that I feel that barrier in my mind of like, okay, this person, I need to make sure that they will, flow and mesh well with my systems and things that I have in place. Like you said, what I can't remember exactly what you said, but talking with somebody and they'll be like, well, I'll get back with you, or yeah, I'll do that at some point. Or I'm like,
Right.
oh,
So,
okay.
first of all, we need to follow up with people. Hello. Fortune is in the follow up, but here's some things inside team, right? So, it's like, how do you bring on somebody? It doesn't even matter. Was it your housekeeper? Is it, another clinician in your private practice? Is it your admin? Like, what is the system that you have in place? So, the very first thing you have to think about is, first of all, your culture, right? What's your own culture, your company culture, your home culture, like all of that? Like, who are you as a person? It was like what we talked about earlier, like, how are you the real you and how are you conveying that? And how are you bringing on people that feel the same way, have the same ideologies? I think that is so critically important. Not like same where it's just so like boring, homogenous. I don't mean that. I mean, of course you want some diversity because you want other ideas, but
Yes.
there needs to be like, this is, our personal brands are representing us.
Mhm.
So if you bring somebody in, I'm telling you, I go look all over people's social, like the whole
Yeah.
bit. I do not, if I don't personally bring someone into my world who
Yeah.
has some very massive contrast in belief systems. It's just ridiculous. For me, I just don't understand. And people are like, I can work through that. I'm like, well, that's too much. Like, I want to remove every barrier to
Yeah.
success for both me and that person and
Right.
the
And my
clients.
client.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's part of the boundary.
Yeah.
And so when we hire people, I don't know about you, but I'll tell the truth. I kept somebody on far longer.
Mm.
It's funny that I even did this because I mean, I kept them on far longer because, then that's like, well, this has had so many hours and she has a couple kids and all these kind of things. And here's the thing, you want to hire slow and fire fast.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that's part of the systems. How do you go through the hiring process? What are the questions that you want to ask? Have they done their due diligence? Have they researched you? What do you set up for them? Say, do they have to do a video? Are they going to help you do any marketing? Um, and so then is it 30, 60, 90 day? It's all written out so that it doesn't have to be personal or emotional.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's the clients, right? That we want to make sure are well taken care of and supported. And
Yeah.
so I think that's part of the process. Whenever I work with clients and they bring on therapists or add to their practice, they're freaking out. And they're like, there's nobody good out there. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's where you need to start. If you think there's nobody good out there, that's the mindset first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you had that as an experience?
Oh yeah, but not necessarily good enough, but I'm like, I'm afraid. Feel that fear of bringing somebody on, and it's gonna sound awful coming out of my mouth, but I'm not gonna judge myself. But them not being what they projected to me that they were gonna be, and then balls will start getting dropped, and then I'm like in crisis mode of having to like
Yeah.
take care of it, and then try to figure out what to do. Because in our field, there's like that you can. It's a no, you don't abandon like clients. So I picture this person getting like a caseload of clients
Right.
and then at night going awful. Like my brain goes there.
Right. But see, here's the good news. Anytime anybody who's listening, right? Anytime we have that moment where we're like thinking about the worst case scenario, that's why you need a system.
Yes.
That's why you need a plan. So like look at that as an opportunity where it's like, "Oh my God, this is so good that I'm even thinking like this," right? Because first of all, we have to also remember that when we hire that for the most part, I'm a big believer that people are good.
Yes.
And people want to be set up for success. And part of the responsibility that we have, I believe, taking on new staff, new team, whatever, is having structures and systems and a plan in place so that they can relax and actually do a good job. And so frequently when I'm working with somebody, same thing, right? It's like and this is why I can claim it. Like I kept somebody way too long, and it was because of my own lack of really rigorous 30, 60, 90 day. And it gave them a container, gave them a boundary. And I don't know how many clients I've worked with. And I'm like, why is that person still doing that job? That's not even what they're good at. They don't even want to do it. So when you're thinking worst case scenario, like mitigate for that, right? Mitigate for that. And I think that's such a great opportunity that you're even thinking like that,
Yeah.
that you're not just like, everything's going to work out fine. That's not the best attitude either.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's just the systems. This might sound like common sense as it comes out of my mouth, but the systems help, I feel like, bring those extremes in thinking like together.
Right.
Okay, how do we, navigate through this rather than feeling like it's one extreme or another?
Exactly. Right? Exactly. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I think about even as the simple things about when you hire somebody who's doing the billing, right? Are they billing? Do you have a biller? Like have that stuff done so it's not a big surprise in 3 months that this literally happened. I worked with this holistic practitioner and she worked with women with infertility issues. And oh my God, she never checked on her assistant and doing the billing.
Oh no.
It was like there was over a year for some clients that were not billed.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh my God, well, what was your system for having that? And she's like, I had no system. And I'm like, holy crap. So, and I'm like, did you immediately fire this person? No. And I'm like, okay, so we had to work around that. Like, why would you not fire this person? Well, and part of it is because she felt responsible. Here's for everybody back to systems, really reinforcing this. She felt responsible because she didn't have a system in place, the checks and balances. And so this person got overwhelmed, and then she was out sick for a little bit. And then when she came back, she was like behind the eight ball, like all of the things. So
Just
it's good to think about these things. It's good to also talk to your team. So part of team system is, what's the system for communication? Do you have a weekly conversation? Do they Vox you daily? Do they say, like my salesperson, I'm like, okay, how many calls? Like, it's at the end of 30 days. Here's the expectation. Like, how many calls are booked for me? How many of I have a self-study program that talks all about like the foundations of business and making money. Like, how many of those did sell, etc. So there has to be that. We have to take responsibility for setting them up for success. But here's the last system I want to chat about, and then we can go through all of these again. But it's your personal systems. And what I mean by that is, like, I do so much identity work about being the evolved woman who is financial. Like, what do you really want in your life? So it's like, when you are being her now, what's in her personal life? Is she running around like a chicken with her head cut off? Is she doing everything? Like, she has kids and they're not folding the laundry, putting away the dishes, packing their lunches or whatever the things. Where does she have boundaries and systems in her life? Here's some examples, some other examples. It's just like, I work at home. Now my daughter goes to school, but last year, COVID, hello. But, there's got to be a boundary. Like, I'm at work, like as though I'm at it, like outside,
right, not
um,
here.
and right. And I mean, even with the dog, even with like everything, like 10 o'clock, the dog gets walked again. Da, 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 da. Like, there has to be things. But part of the problem, here's some things too that we don't even think about, as like almost like a system. And remember, a system is a ritual or it's a process. So I want you to think about, what's the system in the morning to get connected with yourself, to start your day off with intention.
Yes.
Are you in that place of doing that? Or are you just like Sally Joe, rolls over, grabs her phone, and immediately wakes up in reaction and response mode, which we also know kicks in our cortisol, our stress hormones, our adrenals, and we don't start from a place of being proactive toward our own goals. And I believe so strongly that when I'm not doing that, I fail at my self-care. And I don't use the word fail often, but for me, when I'm not rigorous in protecting that system of getting up, getting a making my French press, getting out my journal, my old school composition notebook journal, right?
Yeah.
Right? When I don't do that, honest to God, you guys, I don't feel right.
Mm-mm.
And the day can get away from me and my anxiety kicks in and I feel like keyed up. So I
Yeah.
want you to think about every area of your life in your personal, and this is self-care, but this is also helping you make more money, because when I'm frazzled or I don't start the day like that,
Mm.
frankly, I'm going to be transparent. Sometimes then I don't feel like, God, I don't feel like writing that email, or I feel a little short with people and I never want to be short with clients,
Yeah.
or I just feel touchy, or I feel like it's not the level of energy that I want to bring to my body of work. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I completely, and I use in my own work and my personal life, people have learned, and that's a system that took me a minute, to get in place for myself. And it's not perfect, but I do know, we in our field, you probably heard like the spoon analogy. Like, I check in with myself pretty, not just at the start of my
Yeah,
day, but also, throughout my day. And what spoons do I have to give to what?
right.
And then laying, it's not about, I don't feel like in the mornings laying out my day so much, but it's like you said, connecting, starting my day in the present moment, instead of, like you said, checking emails or fast forwarding to everything that I already know is on my plate for the day, or everything that I didn't get done yesterday, or like just talking about it. I feel like I dysregulated.
Yes.
Just starting in that moment. And with my own spirituality and stuff, I've done a good bit of work there as well, and it's huge. It makes such a huge difference starting your day like that.
It is, and the issue becomes, so many people are like, well, I just don't have, like, I get this all the time. I don't have time to do this. Well, part of systems is, really doing a hard assessment
Hmm.
and when I say hard, I mean it is challenging us emotionally a little bit when you have to get really real with like, who is in your life, my friends? Who in
Yeah.
the
Getting
hell?
cartoons. Yeah.
Who's in your life? Who, like, do you need to cut out some friends? Do you need to stop? Like, I want you to really think about, like, I know we want to help everybody. I get it. I totally get it. And yet, there are people in my life I've had to cut out because they drain me.
Yes.
And then I don't have anything left to give to my priority, myself and my family. And then it's my clients, right? It's me, my family, my clients. I believe that's the process, right?
Yeah.
And we have to be rigorous with our energy. Where are we leaking energy? Who leaks energy? So in our personal life, that's a system. So you have to assess, like, why are you saying yes to things that is a resentful yes? I did a podcast on this. It was called Make Your Yes Your Yes and Your No Your No. It's like, I would rather somebody say no than give me a resentful yes.
Yes.
Right? Because when they give me a resentful yes, I might not know it, but then they go and their day is crap. And then they're yelling at their kid because they're like, I can't believe I said I was going to do that. Right? So you got to stop that because we're guilty of that as well.
It's impact. And when you do the resentful yes, it's impacting how you're showing up for yourself and how you're showing up for whatever that task was that you gave the resentful yes to. Like, it's just not
Right.
effective all around.
But we feel so guilty. It's even like, even if somebody tries to say, well, here, like I have clients in Canada because with my coaching and consulting business, and literally someone like, can you give me a Canadian discount? And I'm like, no. I'm like, are you shitting me? No.
Right? No.
But I'm also like, hey, high five, girl, for asking for what you want. I'm all about it. But then,
Right.
then I was like, I had to work. This is the truth. I had to work on like not getting resentful and not being like, God damn, she has like,
Right.
does she even know what she just said to me?
Right.
Like, I have decades of experience. I have like, I can help you 10x your income. Like, and but here's the thing. Here she's focused on this little something. And I was like, oh, my heart then. I was able to turn it around and feel bad for her because I was like, oh my God, she's so focused on the tiny discount instead of the massive opportunity.
For herself. Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, we really need to talk now because, oh, you did, like, this said so much
Still no
about
to
you.
the discount, but like still no to the discount, but let's use that as a
Right.
good starting point.
Exactly. So I think that when we have our own personal boundaries, we have our own business boundaries,
Mhm.
we can release any like negativity, and when we're just really showing up in the world giving freely of our wisdom as well without some graspy expectation,
Yeah.
and that's why people are attracted to you, right, Kelsey? Because they sense that. I
Yeah.
think we have to remember people can smell it, sense it, our micro expressions, the intonation in our voice, like all of these things help when we're doing our lead generation. And if you gave a resentful yes to the PTA to cook 1,000 non-allergy brownies,
Mhm.
and you don't want to, I bet you that's not the time to do a Facebook Live to market your business.
Right, but it's like our brains don't put that together, and I feel like that resentment,
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like it can like bleed into your next task that you're doing, and then
100%.
into the next, and ugh, like that's what like it
I
just
know.
feels so heavy. If you could just ask yourself, check in with yourself just then, and be like, am I capable of doing this? Do I
Yes.
want to do this?
Right. Am I saying yes because, I feel left out, or, I feel honored that like all these things, sometimes it is hard. When we look at systems and as boundaries, it can feel like a challenge. And I just want everyone to try it. Really just be rigorous with these six systems, like really analyze your business, your life, and all the things, and then incorporate a boundary. Say no more often. So here's the thing. It's not just say no more often. It's say yes to what you want.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and to see if this resonates, I'd love to see what you think. It's like, we're so big on like teach women how to say no, and of course I've done that too, but I'm also like, I feel like, why are we saying that? Like why are we teaching them how to say no? I'm focused on, helping women lead a life uncommon, which means saying yes to what they want, which is about writing their own rules, which is like, yes, I want that. Yes, and I can have that. Yes, and not like say no to people. Like this is the thing. It becomes it's like no doesn't even hardly come into it when you start saying yes to what you want. Because people don't, when you're a woman on a mission,
Hmm.
no one's going to ask you anymore about those damn brownies.
No, I love that you brought that, because like I picture, because I've done my own work with my own boundaries and always doing that work, but I picture what my life, what my relationship, what my own mental health, my physical energy, what all of those things looked like
Yeah.
before I made those changes.
Right.
Like how chaotic it felt, and how, and I would find myself similar, having that mindset of, okay, I'm doing this work, so I just need to say no more often. And it's like, but it's not just about making it a point to say no, because then it's like, if I said no, what am I doing after that? I said no. Okay, why did I say no?
Right.
I said no to prioritize X, Y, or Z. I
Exactly.
said no so I could do this and say yes to this instead. So I
Right.
feel like they're very, very intertwined there.
And, the easiest thing to say is like, thank you so much for asking me. I really appreciate that you thought of me. My
Mhm,
schedule's too full right now.
mhm.
Maybe next time. Like we can say, and that's the truth. You can be truthful because your schedule is full of the
Yeah.
things that you want to do, like you just said, prioritizing. And guess what it could be? Your priority could be going to the movies. Nobody,
Mhm.
right? Let's not judge what your priority is, what your priority is. Like it could be, you know what? I need to brush my cat today.
Right.
And that's my priority. Like, so here's to boundaries and systems and all the things, and making a ton of money, because that's what self-care is about. Like
Yes.
when you have more money, my friends, you're going to be less stressed.
Right. And
And
coming to terms with that and saying, like, that's okay to want to make more money doing what, because we're so much more than our job. It's not about like my identity becomes my job, but I can strengthen my own identity by making more money and aligning with these things about myself and incorporating that into my job or into my life.
exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yes, yes, and yes.
Oh, I love this. Okay, I think we touched on pretty much everything as we went. We talked about formulas, the key factors, the six systems, but I like to ask every guest, Amanda and I as well, we ask everybody if, before we close out and wrap things up, if there's one last little tidbit, one last mantra, anything that you want to leave our community with before we wrap up.
Yes,
Put me
thank you.
on the spot.
I like I said, leading a life uncommon. I want to encourage everyone to really define what that looks like for themselves. And what does that mean? As girls growing up, we didn't grow up like, I'm going to be average one day. I'm going to be mediocre. We lost somewhere sometimes our ideals, our big thinking, our like, of course I canness. And I believe so strongly that we can reconnect with that. And I feel so committed to supporting women reconnecting, because it's not lost. It might be buried a little bit. I believe so much that we need more women stepping up and being leaders and living that life that is juicy and rich and wonderful, and demonstrating that, and then also supporting that. Being in a community of people who are high-fiving, being
Mhm.
in a community that are like, oh my God, you did what? You wrote that book. You made 50 grand this month, $100,000, like whatever. Oh my God, you built a well in Africa. Like really supporting each other.
Mhm.
And part of it is this paradigm shift around be, do, have. Like a lot of times people are like, well, when I have enough money, then I could do the work and I could be somebody who donates. No, you need to start now. You need to be the evolved self. This is a lot of that identity, future self, evolved self work I do with people is helping them connect right now in this moment. You can be her. It might not be you're writing a check for $100,000 right now. It could be that you're writing a check for $5. It could be $100. Be her now and then do the work so you can have the things that you want in your life. And but it comes with defining them, right? It comes with defining them and having the plan for that. And then of course the systems. But it starts with you allowing yourself to want what you want unapologetically. Like I'm so committed to every one of you having what you want with zero guilt attached to it. That's leading a life uncommon because the epidemic of women feeling badly about wanting more is frankly so sad.
Right.
So let's turn this around. Let's like all link arms. Let's really choose to lead these lives that are uncommon. Choose to be the in the forefront. Choose to be a legacy for the next generation of women. I feel like I am doing the work in gratitude for the women that have come before us.
Mm-hmm.
Like God, I get so choked up, but I mean that. And I have a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
So, it's not just for her, but it's also for the 15-year-old in me that
Yeah.
didn't have me, someone like
Yeah.
me, or someone like you as an example of a leader.
Yes. Not just the things or the materialistic things that represent success. It's so much more. It runs so
So
much
much more.
deeper
So
than
much more than that. The money is a byproduct. And so when I talk to people about like focus on the money, part of the reason I say that, and people are like, you just talk about money so much. I talk about that because women don't talk about money.
no.
And we're not taught about money, and we're taught men make the money. And so I talk
Yep.
about money because I'm reminding you you're in business and businesses make money. Like if you want to have a nonprofit or a charity, like make a ton of money and then hire people to run your nonprofit. It's just like, so it's about opportunity. It's about if women are truly going to be a force in the world, we need to have economic power. And
Mhm.
having that gives us that self-care as well. So it's also intertwined. Okay, I feel like we could go off on this again. This is so good.
I love this so much. As always, like, I mean, we tell every guest, everybody is always welcome back. I don't care if I've had somebody 3, 4 times already, like everybody's always welcome back.
Yes,
So
thank you. We'll have to have another conversation about
I
this for
know,
sure.
like I'm here for it. And Amanda will be back shortly. We're not rushing her time though, so it'll be
Right.
me for probably another month or
Yeah.
so. And then yeah, you're always welcome back and
Thank
keep
you.
tying things in here for our listeners.
Yay. Sounds awesome.
All right. So thank you again, Mary, for being here. And for our listeners, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow. Like I said, in my intro, please leave us feedback. If you have questions, we can get them over to Mary. Where can they find you, Mary, if you don't mind sharing some
Yeah.
platforms for our
So
community?
so if you all are listening right now on the podcast, you can pop over when we're done right now. As soon as we're done, I have a podcast called Lead a Life Uncommon. And I'm super excited. We just hit top 30, number 30, which I'm totally freaking out in entrepreneurship. So I'm like totally tripping out about it, which is very exciting. That's one thing. But here's a gift that I want to give to you all. It's marybicknell.com. I know this will be in the show notes. marybicknell.com/gifts with an S on the end. And what is in there is my fear breakthrough formula and the guide to your hidden thoughts around money and success. So it's going to give you a window into some of your thinking, which we said, right, in the biz trifecta, the success trifecta is the first thing that you need to work on is your thinking. So marybicknell.com/gifts with an S on the end.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that and having something for our community. We
Yes,
all greatly appreciate that. And all of this is useful to anyone, even if you don't have a business,
of
if you have a
course.
vision, if you have just things personally for yourself that we all can be doing this kind of work, even if we don't have a
Of
business.
course. I mean, we all need this work. And the fear breakthrough formula that you'll get, it's like I have different examples for people who are in business and like, you want to lose 20 pounds, right? You want to get that divorce, like whatever it is. We all have to be so conscious of our thinking and putting
Mhm.
boundaries around things. So thank you. I'm so glad to be here and I'm happy to come back anytime.
Thank you so much. So next week, everybody, to expect, we will be hosting Ashley Chambrello, and we'll be talking all about the therapeutic healing method of brain spotting. So
Ooh,
you
that's a
don't
good
want to
one.
miss that. Yeah, it'll be next Sunday. So take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye now.